over the week, the NBA and the NBA Players Association finally found a date to host an All-Star game. The All-Star game will take place in Atlanta on March 7th, and oh boy, the NBA players have had some things to say about it. Now, the NBA Players Association, I think, is still headed by Chris Paul. So, it's not like, every NBA player gets a vote in what happens here, but a lot of NBA players are not very happy that there is an All-Star game. LeBron James said he doesn't understand why they're having a game, and he doesn't have the energy for one. And I mean, as a team that just won the NBA Finals, they only had like maybe less than 3 months of off season, so you can understand why LeBron would feel that way. And De'Aaron Fox called out and just called the game just blatantly stupid. I'm entitled and I'm inclined to agree with the players here. I mean, there is no reason why the NBA needs to have an All-Star game this season, other than it being completely monetary. This is a really good example at how coronavirus is affecting the business side of the NBA. For me, this is strictly a business move. And there is no other way that I really could think of it as anything other than a business move. And it's one that is definitely going to draw some ire from players because it's taking advantage of their time, in which I'm sure they were looking forward to having 5 days off in the middle of the season after a very quick turnaround from season to season and a very inconsistent and exhausting schedule. Sometimes you're going to be playing multiple games back to back to back, and sometimes, you're going to have players out for coronavirus or in the health and safety protocol. It's been a wild and wacky, inconsistent, and very exhausting NBA season for a lot of players. So, the fact that the NBA wants to go and have an All-Star game for no other reason than just to have one, I don't know if maybe they're raising money for something, like maybe the NBA is raising money for coronavirus research. I don't know. I can only assume that this is strictly a financial decision to have an All-Star game to bring in some kind of money. And if I was an NBA player, I would be pissed too, especially because the All-Star game is being hosted in Atlanta. Like, out of all the basketball cities you could have chosen to host this All-Star game, you choose one of the most active hotspots for coronavirus in the entire country. Atlanta and Georgia have been probably one of the most relaxed states in the entire country when it comes to coronavirus. And let's face it, it's a hotspot there. Georgia is absolutely a hotspot for this virus, even almost a year later from when this started. So the fact that the NBA thought a lot about whether they could have an All-Star game. They didn't really think about whether should they have an All-Star game or not. And now that they have decided that they do want to have and that they should have an All-Star game, they're having it in probably I think the only place that would be worse is hosting it in LA, where, in California, where the virus is also really strong right now. But you're having it in one of the most concentrated hotspots for this virus there it is in the nation. It's like, why? Why? This makes no sense. This makes no sense under any circumstances other than just being a financial corporation that needs to make money and is tired of losing money because of coronavirus. I understand, the NBA is probably losing millions upon billions of dollars for missed games, players being inactive. They're obviously owners are missing ticket sales. I understand it's mostly a financial decision, but it's like, come on. I mean, the NBA has had really a pretty poor season for, with the coronavirus going around, when the NBA literally months prior was being praised by everybody, myself included, for running a successful playoff in a bubble. I don't know how the NBA makes that flip from saying, okay, we're going to host all these teams in a bubble. It's going to be safe. We're going to be checking for the virus. It's going to be a safe environment in which we all can still enjoy sports, to saying, yeah, let's have an All-Star game in one of the most concentrated coronavirus hotspots in the world. It's just like, where's the logic? Where is the logic? I mean, De'Aaron Fox called it pretty plainly. It's stupid. It's completely stupid. I don't know. I'm actually like it's pissing me off a little bit because it's like I'm sure, especially with how these NBA players have been traveling and dealing with all these circumstances, I'm sure a lot of players were looking forward to that 5-day period that they were going to have where maybe they can travel home and see their families. For once, but no, now the NBA is going to host an All-Star game where, the players that, I would almost say the unfortunate players that get named an All-Star are going to have to not only play a game of basketball during a time in which they would probably be enjoying a break, but they have to sacrifice their health and their safety to play this game for the NBA in a city that is considered one of the hotspots for the coronavirus. I don't know about you, but if I'm a player, I am taking the 5 days off with my family instead of playing an all-star game in Atlanta, just regardless of the honor of what being an all-star in the NBA brings. I would say screw that, find somebody else. It's going to be, I cannot believe that the NBA is doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets canceled. I would cancel it. If I'm an NBA player, I'm pretty ticked off about this. If I'm a bench player, I'm probably like, it doesn't affect me that much. I'm just gonna sit on the bench and make a couple mil. But if you're like a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Luka Doncic, like you would want to probably spend some time with your family. And now they're just being forced to play this game because money. It's stupid. I feel for the NBA players in this one. I really, really do. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this segment from the Hard Headed Sports Podcast. You've heard what I've had to say, now I'm interested to hear what you think as well. If you enjoyed this highlight from the show and want to watch more highlights from the show as they come out after the show's completion, you should definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're interested in listening to the entire show in its full-length entirety, you should follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon.